Homelessness.
Currently, 3,434 people in Alabama are experiencing homelessness.
Over 900 of them are right here in Birmingham.
Out of this number, there are
339 veterans.
540 experience chronic homelessness.
158 unaccompanied young adults.
280 family households.
15,000 students in Alabama experienced homelessness over the course of a year.
Specifically in Birmingham, there are a few places where homeless people will temporarily reside. You have 5 Points South, the Color Tunnels, Railroad Park, and underneath bridges. We have heard about the shocking statistics, so it makes you wonder, why do these people try not to get out of these situations? It's because the shelters are not places of refuge. As I listed in my paper before, it says homeless families have a high level of complex needs that cannot be met by conventional health services and arrangements. And sadly, the shelters do not provide the correct tools or needs that these people need at that moment. Pope Francis once said, "These things become the norm. That some homeless people die of cold on the streets is not news. In contrast, a 10-point drop on the stock markets of some cities is a tragedy. A person dying is not news, but if the stock markets drop 10 points, it's a tragedy. Thus, people are disposed of as if they were trash." My time here at UAB honestly has been very interesting, and I've become way more aware of homelessness. Just being in the dorms, I've seen it play out at 5 Points South, at the Color Tunnels, just different places downtown, and it saddens my heart, but it also intrigued me a lot on this topic of homelessness. So what I personally did was went around to poll a couple of people just asking what are the causes of homelessness, and then what are ways that they think we could fix it. And kind of the responses that I got were very interesting. So that's in the next part that I want to share with you guys.
So I think that the causes of homelessness are, first off, the way people, how they are raised and what they go throughout their life. A lot of times, even if they are raised well in their family, though, they can end up in some situation later on, whether it be with a girlfriend or boyfriend, or they end up in some bad situation that it leads them down a rabbit hole that they just never dig themselves out of. So honestly, it can be through a lot of things. Systemic problems of not being able to find a job, or not having the education to get a good job, or even, I don't know, I met a homeless lady over at 5 Points a couple of months ago, and basically we had tried to set her up with shelters, but she just didn't want to go, and she didn't want to get out of the homeless life just because it was so bad in the shelters. She said, like, the food wasn't good, they were feeding them like donuts for breakfast and lunch, and it wasn't safe. So I think a way to solve homelessness would be to help homeless people feel more independent of their own lives, like they have something to put forward, and this would give them motivation into finding a life for themselves.
A lot of kids and teens get kicked out of their houses, and so they usually don't know where to go from there, and they end up being lost on the streets and stuff, and they don't have people to set them up for college or get into good schools or good programs, so then they just end up on the streets for a really long time. Because I've noticed that a lot of people I meet that are homeless are really young, and I think it's because they end up in situations like that. We could start by putting out more job applications on paper and having pens and having stations set up where people can apply, and not having such high requirements for minimum wage jobs, so people can start working at grocery stores and stuff, and then maybe get them set up with a program where they can work their way up to becoming a functioning member of society and stuff like that.
After polling people around UAB's campus, a general answer was that homelessness was caused by various life circumstances such as addiction or trauma, a limited number of jobs available, a lacking education prep system, and that housing was too expensive. They suggested that the way to fix these problems was to ensure that people who are in these situations have easier opportunities to get help, whether that be in paper job applications or mental help. As you have heard from some of the people that I interviewed and just their answers on what are the causes and then what we can do to fight them, we have practical ways that we can fight it. And so I want to encourage us all to take those steps. Even if it takes a long time, we can take those steps to help improve it.